Hello students, welcome to your final year. First of all, my name is Manimugdha, Assistant Professor, Social Work Program, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, Assam Downtown University. So in this video, we are going to discuss about my second paper, that is BSW502, Urban Community Development, and the first topic there is urban community characteristics and features. So let's see what it's there. So according to McIver and Page, the members of both groups are small or large and live together in such a way that they share not this or that particular interest, but basic conditions of a common life. That group is called a community. So in an introduction part, we are going to discuss what is a community first. In your third semesters, where you have already learned about community organization, definitely you have learned about what is a community, right? So a community does have two elements, that is locality and another is a sentiment. That is these two elements in a community shape an area of living and social bonding, right? So as for locality, a community occupies a territorial area, permanent or changing. Its sentiment is the social coherence which the people inculcate within themselves. And the locality is the area and the sentiment is the we feeling, right? So the we feeling comes with the social bonding. So this sense of belonging together into the residence is a real sentiment of the community. A common way of life for people along with its awareness on a common territory is a community. So, here I have written that there are two types of communities, that is rural and urban communities, but there is actually a third one, that is the tribal community, right? Which you will also study in this semester along with rural and urban. Since I do not want to go in depth about tribal community here, so I'll just describe tribal community along with the rural community, because in words, tribal is also kind of a rural place, right? So both rural and tribal communities faces similar issues and have similar features. So I'll just describe rural community in a short way. Rural community is basically a natural phenomenon. It is present in every society of the world, having distinct culture and pattern of social life. It is actually a product of natural free will of the people having extreme similarity in their objectives, right? And ambitions of living. So here, agriculture is the main identity and element. People of this community mostly have face-to-face interactions with high degree of homogeneity in their identities. And basic urban facilities like school, hospital, market, municipal office, police station, etc. are usually missing in this community. I'm not saying everywhere it is missing. You will find in some rural or tribal areas that these things exist, like schools, hospitals, markets, municipal office, or police stations. But in the majority areas, that is the rural areas, it does not exist still, even in 2020. So urban community is basically the opposite of rural community. Okay, here agriculture is not the main identity and element or the main occupation. The urban people lifestyle are highly impersonal with each other, along a high degree of complexity and heterogeneity in their living style and identities. It is actually a product of rational choice, a complex division of labor with specialization in their jobs, and that is their identity of urban community. Modern civic facilities are usually available. So this is what urban community is, just the introduction part. By an urban area, we generally mean an area with a very high density of population, right? In the rural areas, there's a low density of population, whereas in urban areas, there's a high density of population. So urban community is something which an individual thought as an area with high density of population, an area with the availability of basic requirements, an area of good resources. The area has lots of opportunity of employment, and such an area which can be considered as life-giving for luxurious desires of human or individual. So in rural areas, we do not see like sometimes we do not see the availability of basic requirements, or in you know there aren't a lot of opportunity of employment, and their luxurious desires of human may not be met in rural communities, but in urban community it can be seen. Different criteria are used to decide a community as urban. Some of them are, for example, population large limits, legal limits, types of occupation, social organizations, etc. The city, in the words of Louis Word, refers to a relatively large, dense, and permanent settlement of socially heterogeneous individuals. So, the word heterogeneous, large, dense, and permanent are the key words here. That is, it's actually a very large, high, and density of population with socially heterogeneous individuals, which are diverse in nature or different in nature. So, what is the basic meaning of urban community? An urban community is characterized by higher population density and vast human feature in comparison to areas surrounding. Yes, the area may be lesser, but the human feature are more. Urban areas are created and further developed by the process of urbanization, and urban areas are places which satisfy the following criteria. That is, a minimum population of 5,000. So, in general, when you talk about cities or towns, uh, town is also an urban community. So, um, their minimum population of 5,000 can be seen, and it can be more. It can be more to 50 lakhs or 50 crores actually. Okay, at least 75% of the male working population are engaged in non-agricultural pursuits. Yes, I would say both male and female here, that 75% of the people in general are working uh, uh, in a non-agricultural sector. A density of population is at least 400 per square kilometers. Yes, it is very much true that the density of population is very high, and the minimum will be around 400 per square kilometer, 400 persons per square kilometer, but it will be more than that. The growth of large cities that contain the bulk of a society's population is a very recent development. So, yes, we have seen large cities grow in the medieval age, in the ancient age also. But the process of urbanization uh, it is ancient as well. But in a very high amount is a recent development process. So there are some of the major features and characteristics of urban community. That is the first one being social heterogeneity, where people are heterogeneous. They are diverse in nature. They are diverse in culture, tradition, language, etc. Um, we can find a lot of secondary relations here. The primary relation, that is the family, has taken the sidelines, unlike in rural places where it takes the main line. And in cities, we generally see a more basic relationship with the secondary kins or secondary people, like in the workplace or friends and peer groups, etc. So, we also see the word anonymity. Yes, anonymity is very much seen because in a large city you kind of get lost, right? If you're alone in a city, where in a new city where you have migrated or transferred for your job opportunities, you you tend to remain anonymous because no one really identifies you, right? So, other than the workplace. Next is the secondary control. That is, uh, the secondary relations are more in control than the primary relations. The hold of the family is lesser, but the hold of the society or the law is more. Then we can see a large-scale division of labor and specialization. Yes, it is very much important to see. We generally see a large-scale division of labor because there's such a diverse kind of labor market in the cities, right? And we have a lot of specializations in all the areas. So that is why we can see a large-scale division of labor. Then we can also see a large-scale social mobility where people do not generally are stuck to one caste or one race or something, because uh, in a large-scale social mobility you tend to move upwards, upward mobility curve, and there is no kind of discrimination for the lower caste people or higher caste people. It is equal for all, right? So that is why a large-scale social mobility can be formed. Individuation, yes, along with as we have already learned about anonymity. Yes, anonymity comes in individuation, because since no one knows you, you have kind of have to depend on yourself, right? So individualistic identity will be there. Then voluntary association, you will be finding a lot of voluntary um, opportunities or associations in the cities. And people will uh, do a lot for voluntary associations. Then we get social reference, where we can make connections with various other people from various other specializations or various other uh, job opportunities. Then yes, unstable family is a very important characteristic, because unstable family makes it, you know uh, it, 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 it it can become nuclear when you even start a family in an urban area. It tends to be nuclear, because your 2-3 generations does not stay together. Only one generation stays together. So at the max two, I would say. So less than 3 generations always make an unstable family. So joint family is known as a stable family, which is normally found in rural areas. But in urban areas we can see an unstable family. Then we can see several other features, like spatial segregation, where the workforce is segregated, in all parts. And then we can see a lack of community feeling. There's no unity among urban dwellers, actually. Because the concern is not there. That is why. So there's no unity feeling or a we feeling, unlike in rural areas where there is a we feeling. So lack of community feeling is a very basic feature. Then lack of unity in family. Yes, people are not they do not tend to remain under the same roof for a long time. So that is why we say lack of unity. People or sons or daughters, they tend to move out for better job opportunities or for better lifestyle. So we also have unbalanced personality. Yes, it is unbalanced personality, because because urban lifestyle is a bit stressful. So that is why we call it as unbalanced. High incidence of crime. Yes, we can see a lot of crime rates in urban areas, from petty thefts to mass murders or terrorist activities. Every kind of crime can be seen. So social disorganization also a basic feature. And then peculiarities of marital life. Yes, peculiarities of marital life can be seen, because a word like divorce is rarely used in rural areas, right? I myself has not heard divorce, the word divorce used often in rural areas, or people divorce in rural areas. But in urban areas, it's a very normal factor. It's a very common factor. Dynamic life. Yes, the life tends to change from time to time. Some At one point, when you come to the city, you are poor, and then suddenly after 2-3 years you become rich, or and then after 3-4 more years you become settled, and everything goes higher up. Sometimes it comes lower down also. Sometimes you lose all the money, and you tend to become poor also. So it changes, right? The life changes. So that is why we say it as a dynamic life. Then artificial life is another feature, which is like very common these days. And due to the corona pandemic, again, most people's life has become artificial, right? um, like we can say it is a digital life, maybe. Because rarely we talk to people in person these days. And we generally talk to people over phone or over internet or over any other social media platforms, which is an artificial life, right? And we tend to more be more dependent on technologies rather than be more creative. So that is why in urban areas artificial life is basically seen. But whereas in rural areas where there is not much internet connections or not much technological development, we can see creativity. Okay, still see creativity. So in conclusion, urban contrasts with rural, right? That much we know. In rural areas we can do stuff where in urban areas we can't, or in urban areas we can do stuff where in rural we can't. So it contrasts each other. It refers to a process which envisages land settlement, agglomeration of diversities, complete transformation of economy from agricultural to industrial and commercial sectors, and a wider political civic life dependent on institutions of modern living. So the urban society is basically heterogeneous, that we all came to know. We have a diverse class of race, or you name it. Everything is diverse. Occupation, language, religion, everything is diverse. So that is why we have in urban areas a diverse, a great diversity and a lot of complexity. It is dominated by secondary relations mostly, and in urban society it is very far away from nature, right, and natural environment. We rarely see natural habitats near urban areas. It is not seen generally. It basically natural environment or nature can be seen from a rural community or a tribal community, but not in urban community generally. Mass education is widespread in city. Yes, education is widespread in the city, and it's a complex multi-group society. So this is uh, this is what today we have discussed about urban communities, and the difference with the rural communities or the tribal communities. Which you will also study in simultaneous papers, that is tribal development and rural development. Um, in our next classes or in our next videos, we will discuss more about urbanization and history of urbanization and various characteristics of towns, cities, satellite towns, semi-urban areas, etc. So please go through the notes and please be ready with your questions and clear your doubts as soon as possible. Okay. All the best, and see you in our next video. Be safe. Thank you.